My name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit. My project level up update today, I am excited to get into. If you watched last month, you would have known that I pre-rolled my level 3 palette because I completed level 2 sooner than I was expecting, and I rolled in the What's Up Beauty Geodes palette. I was excited about this because this has already had so much use on it, so many pans on it, and I was just really excited to start to use this again. This is what the palette is currently looking like. So, of course, with level 3, every shade in here has to be used a total of 3 times, and I have to hit 3 pans. So I am happy to say that I have reached for every shade in here the total of 3 times. This shade right here called Clay, it is like more of an olivey green shade. That was probably the toughest one for me to try and reach for 3 times. I just really didn't enjoy how it looked on me. Maybe in the fall time I'll feel a little bit different, but it definitely wasn't a shade for me. I had decided, I would be okay if I never hit pan in that shade. This palette could be completely finished off with that shade still remaining, and I would be completely happy with it. I would consider it a palette complete. So, there might not be much usage on that shade moving forward, and I'm totally okay with that. But for the rest of this palette, I really did enjoy reaching for it when I did. I reached for the shade Earth-like. When I wanted some really easy looks and I really wasn't wanting to put in a whole lot of effort, but I wanted a little something on my lid. So I reached for this one a couple of times for that reason, and I really enjoyed it. But surprisingly, these 4 shimmers right here took a little bit longer than I was expecting to. I think with these two, I was kind of I wouldn't say I was holding off on them per se, but I was definitely focusing on like this part of the palette a lot more than I was with this half at first. So I think that's just kind of what ended up happening. These two were used pretty much towards the end. I have talked about how much I've enjoyed the combination of these 2 shimmers, and I use those on the lid with these 3 mattes right here. That's pretty much how I ended up getting the 3 uses. And then surprisingly, I actually never really reached for these 2 purples like I thought I was. I had gone back to watch last month's update to see where I was at with this palette when I showed it to you guys. And I had already previously worn those 2 shades, and then that was it. So I made sure I got my last 2 uses in on those. But I was focusing a lot more on like this section of the palette, I guess. And I'm not sure why, but I just was. And I was excited that I finally ended up using everything in here a total of 3 times. And these 2 shades down here, I thought I still had one more use to go, so I used them again. And then when I went to go mark it down, I realized that I had already completed the 3 use mark, so I did end up using these to a total of 4 times. And this shade right here, called Agate, I actually hit pan on the 4th use. I thought it was the 3rd, and I was like, oh, how convenient is that? I had to use it 3 times anyways, and I ended up hitting pan. But no, unfortunately, it was the 4th use, but that's totally okay. But that is the one shimmer that I ended up hitting pan on, and the one shade out of the 3 that I hit pan on. So that was really exciting. So I managed to get that part of the pans hit rather early on, and that was really exciting. So I do still have 2 shades left to hit pan on. Now, I did want to hit pan on a couple of the mattes in this palette because a lot of the pans in here are in the shimmers. Actually, I think all of them are. All of them are, minus this one right here. So I wanted to focus on a couple of the mattes to try and hit pan on. I didn't want all 3 of the pans to be in mattes, but I definitely wanted 1 or 2 of them to be, because this is the only shimmer that's left without a pan. And that's not going to be an issue for me to hit pan on in the future. So I wanted to, switch it up a little bit. So the 2 shades that I decided to focus in on are Lava and Terra. I was really focusing and debating using Rhyodite. I used this a few times. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was easy, but I wanted something a little bit different, especially since I've been so overwhelmed with the pinks and the mauves and all of that kind of stuff. So I just decided to focus on these ones right here. So right now, my focus is more so on Terra than anything. I have used Lava a total of what I have marked down, which may not be correct, 7 times. So I have used this a bit. I did use these two together a lot. I would use this in the outer half of my crease, and this would be on the inner half. And I did that a few times, but I decided I kind of wanted to switch things up a little bit. So I really was just focusing on Terra. I'm wearing it today in the outer corner, just very, very lightly. And for marked uses, I have a total of 11. So this is what those two shades are currently looking like a little closer up. You can see a little bit of usage, more so in this one. The brush I'm using um, is a little more focused, but it also kind of like spreads it out a little bit. So we're gonna see how many more times it takes to hit pan in Terra, and then I will focus in on Lava here. I'm really crossing my fingers that I can have pan in both of those before the next update. Looking at like the time frame of how I usually get through each level, like give or take 2 months, it's still kind of on like lined up with that. So I'm thinking that I can probably have pan in both of these by next update, and that would be really fun. And then I can move on to level 4, which is really exciting. So we will have to see if I will be doing that with you guys on camera next month, if that's going to be pre-rolled and you will be seeing a screen recording of it. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I have my little chart, my little drawing, my little tracker here, so you can see these ones already previously had pan in it, so I hit pan in a gate. I've already written it down here. Everything has been used the 3 times. And yeah, I've really been enjoying it. There's definitely been some times where I wasn't reaching for makeup all that often. I was really sick the last few days or so. So even with the amount of progress that I've made on this palette, I really don't feel like I was reaching for it maybe as much as I was. I definitely went like a little while where I just kind of like was using other things, but I've still been able to make really good progress with this palette, which I really enjoy. So I'm excited to see where we're gonna be at for the next update and if I can hit pan in both of those mattes before then. So cross your fingers that I can. Stay tuned to see what it's gonna look like next month. And that is it for now. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys all later. Bye.